Welcome back to Scott's Swinging Sports today, ladies and gentlemen. Week number 102 here on Scott's Swinging Sports. Today is my 4-year anniversary here on YouTube. What a great 4 years it's been. Hopefully all of you are staying safe during this coronavirus, and should be a great weekend. The NFL draft is here, so that means we finally have some sports to watch this weekend. 3 days of great NFL draft. So let's get into the mock draft right now. And this draft will be virtual, so this will probably never happen again. So this is going to be a really interesting weekend. So let's head into the draft right now. So the first pick of the NFL draft belongs to the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 wins last year for this team. Absolutely terrible last season for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think they're going to take their quarterback of the future here in Joe Burrow out of LSU. This kid is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. I saw this guy play a million times last year, and every single game I saw him play, he continued to improve and impress every single time I saw him play. So he is the undoubtedly supposed to be the number 1 pick, and he rightfully deserves to be. Pick number 2, the Washington Redskins are looking to trade out of this spot, but I can't trade here in this mock draft, so I think that they stay put, and they're going to take Chase Young out of Ohio State. And I know he got suspended a couple of games last year at Ohio State, but he's still one of the best players in the nation. In my opinion, he could be the best player in this draft. So in my opinion, they got to take the easy pick here and take Chase Young out of Ohio State here at number 2. Number 3, the Detroit Lions are next. Matt Patricia in his 3rd year as head coach of the Detroit Lions. And I think that they are going to take Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State. Back-to-back Buckeyes go 2 and 3 in my opinion. Okudah is one of the best corners in the draft, and I feel like he will be the first cornerback off the board in this draft. So no questions here for the Detroit Lions. I think they stay put, and they take Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State here at number 3. Next up, at the number 4 selection, the New York Football Giants, who are coming off a pretty good season, not bad, with Danny Dimes as their new quarterback, and I feel like they need to protect Daniel Jones as their new starting quarterback in New York. And I feel like they will, and they'll take Jedrick Wills out of the University of Alabama. This guy is going to be one of the best players in the draft, one of the best offensive tackles in the draft, and he's going to be the guy who I've been hearing is supposed to be the pick at number 4, and I feel like they can take any of the top 4, but they'll take the Alabama kid at number 4. Next up in the NFL draft, my first shocker of the draft, as the Miami Dolphins come up at number 5. And they're going to take Justin Herbert out of Oregon. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans are not going to be happy with this pick because they want Tua at number 5. But I just can't trust the injury right now to Tua. If he was 100% healthy, I would say absolutely. I would actually think he could go number 1 if he was 100%. But I don't think he's 100% right now. So I'm going to take the guy that I know is 100% right now, Justin Herbert, who played absolutely phenomenal in the big games that he had last season at Oregon. So I think Justin Herbert goes number 5 overall to the Miami Dolphins. Next up at number 6, Tua doesn't have to wait long after that because I think he goes next to the LA Chargers. They need a quarterback after letting Phillip Rivers go in the offseason, so they desperately need a younger quarterback. And I feel like Tua is the next best quarterback on this board, so I think they got to take him here at 6 and be very happy about taking him at number 6. Next up, the Carolina Panthers are next up at number 7 after finishing in last place in the NFC South last season. And I think they got to take Isaiah Simmons here out of Clemson. Luke Kuechly just retired this offseason, so they need to find a new version of Luke Kuechly, and I think they will here in Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. Played for one of the best coaches in college football in Dabo Swinney last year. So I think that they got to take Isaiah Simmons here at 7 overall in the draft. Next up, number 8, the Arizona Cardinals are next, and I think they take Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. The second offensive tackle goes off the board here. You drafted Kyler Murray for a reason last year to be the quarterback of the future. Now you got to protect the man, and I feel like they will do just that in this draft, and they take Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa at number 8. Next up, with the number 9 pick in the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Looking to trade basically everybody on this roster because they are looking to, for next season, they are definitely tanking for Trevor next year in the draft. I think they take Derek Brown out of Auburn with the number 9 pick. You just lost Calais Campbell, to, I can't remember where he lost him to, but he did leave the team. So I feel like you got to get a new defensive tackle in there. And Derek Brown's probably the best defensive tackle in the draft. So you got to take him at number 9 overall. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. You got to protect your future of the court at the position in Baker Mayfield. So I think they got to take Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, the guy that they've been eyeing for the last week or so. And I think that they stick to their big board and they take Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. The third offensive tackle of the draft goes here at number 10 to the Cleveland Browns. Next up, the New York Jets are on the clock next. And they would have loved to see one of these top 3 offensive tackles slide to them, but they didn't. So I think they take the best receiver in the draft, and that would be Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. This kid played for Nick Saban last year and did very well. This kid's got a bright future in the NFL. This guy could be one of the best receivers in the division this season in the AFC South. No, my bad, the AFC East. So I think Jerry Jeudy's going to go 11 and give Sam Darnold another toy to work with in that offense. Next up, the number 12 pick in the NFL draft. Mike Mayock and John Gruden are on the clock at number 12 with the Oakland Raiders after having one of the biggest surprising picks of the year last year and drafting Clelin Ferrell at number 4 last year. That was an absolute shocker. And I think they're going to take another potential shocker here. If Al Davis was still alive, which he's not, but if he was, I think this would be the guy they take here. Henry Ruggs out of Alabama. This kid's probably the fastest receiver in the draft, so they got to take him at number 12. That's all the Raiders care about is speed, 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 and I feel like that's where they're going to go here at number 12. They could take CeeDee Lamb here at 12, but I don't think they're going to. So I think they're going to take Henry Ruggs out of Alabama at number 12. Next up, number 13, the San Francisco 49ers, the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers are up at 13. And I think they desperately need a wide receiver. They just lost Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints, so they need another receiver. And I think they take CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. A lot of people's best wide receiver on the board, but I'm not one of those people. I definitely believe that Jerry Jeudy is the best receiver in this draft class. He's definitely number 2, so I'll take CeeDee Lamb at number 13 to the San Francisco 49ers. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock at 14. Everyone's favorite team to pick now to win the Super Bowl after getting Tom Brady. And then the shocker of all shockers yesterday when we traded a 4th-round pick to New England for Rob Gronkowski. So that was an absolute steal. I'll take that any day of the week. I think we take the last offensive tackle of the core 4, as we're calling them, of the offensive tackles. And that would be Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. A lot of people say this guy's got the highest upside in the draft of the offensive tackle, so I will take that at 14 and be very excited about moving him into the left tackle position. And then maybe we can move DeMar Dawson over to the right side, where a lot of people said he should have been for his entire career. So next up at number 15, John Elway and the Denver Broncos are next up at 15. And I think C.J. Henderson goes here, the cornerback out of Florida. This guy could go a lot earlier in the draft, and he could also go in the middle. So I could see this guy going basically anywhere inside the top 20. But C.J. Henderson, I believe, goes number 15 to the Denver Broncos here at 15 and gives them a piece to work with in the secondary for the Broncos. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock next. Second place in the NFC South for them last year with a Jameis Winston pick 6 to end the season last year. And I think they take Caleb Chason out of LSU, the second LSU Tiger to go off the board, in my opinion. This kid's going to get some pressure on the quarterbacks. And with all those good quarterbacks now in the division, and you got to put some pressure on the quarterback in this division now. Now that you have Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater in your own division. So you got to take the best pass rusher in this right here, and that would be Caleb Chason out of LSU at number 16. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. And they want to take a secondary guy here, but I think it's too early to take the safety in Xavier McKinney. So I'm going to go with Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, a defensive tackle. DeMarcus Lawrence is getting up there in age, so you may want to get a new guy on the outside for him to improve on the defensive tackle position. So I feel like that's where they're going to go here. Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. A lot of people are saying you could go top 10, but I have him sliding down a little bit to 17 to the Dallas Cowboys. Next up at number 18, the Miami Dolphins are next up on the clock with their second of 3 first-round picks that they had this year. And they're going to take Austin Jackson out of USC. Ian Rappaport tweeted, I think that was back on Monday, when he said that this guy is one of the biggest risers in the NFL draft over the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to trust that and take him as my 5th best offensive lineman in the draft. Do I think he's the 5th best? Probably not. But I feel like he will be the 5th offensive tackle taken in this draft out of USC at number 18 in the draft. Next up, the Oakland Raiders with their second first-round pick of the draft. They will take Christian Fulton out of LSU, the corner. They need help in the secondary. A lot of people are asking him, John Gruden's going to trade up here and take Jordan Love, and I don't think they will. So I'm going to take Christian Fulton here out of the University of LSU, the 3rd LSU Tiger to go in the first round, in my opinion. They'll have you'll hear that name a lot this year in the draft, the LSU guys. So Christian Fulton goes number 19 overall to the Oakland Raiders. Next up at number 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars need help pretty much everywhere on this team right now. They're trading everybody. Don't be shocked to see Leonard Fournette get traded tomorrow. I think they're going to take Jeff Gladney out of TCU, another corner, back-to-back corners go in the first round for me. This guy looks very good. Didn't get to see him play much in the Big 12 because I don't watch a lot of Big 12 football because there's basically no defense in the Big 12. So Jeff Gladney goes number 20 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 20. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. And if they do not draft a wide receiver right here, Eagles fans might be like punching their TVs or something here because they desperately need a wide receiver. And I'm going to give them a wide receiver here, number 21, Justin Jefferson out of LSU, the 4th LSU Tiger to go in the first round. A lot of people are saying this guy could go higher, but I think the Eagles might actually trade up a little bit to get this guy and move up a little bit from 21 to get him. So I think Justin Jefferson's going to go here at number 21. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings with their first of 2 first-round picks. They'll take Jalen Johnson, the cornerback out of Utah. This guy is perfect for Mike Zimmer's defense. He likes those big, tall, physical corners, and I feel like this guy is definitely that. Couldn't get to see him play much last year either because they were on the West Coast out there in Utah, but he looks good. I'll take him at 22 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. And next up, the team that nobody knows where they're going here, at number 23, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are on the clock. And a lot of people are saying they're not going to take a quarterback here at 23, but I think they do. I think they take the last of the 3 big quarterbacks in this draft. And I think they take Jordan Love out of Utah State. This kid looks good. He looked a little bit better in 2018 than he did last year, but I still think he's good enough to be a first-round pick, despite what my buddy Brandon Kravitz just tweeted me a couple minutes ago, saying that he's a second-round pick in his opinion, but I think he's a first-rounder here in my opinion, going number 23 overall to the New England Patriots. Next up, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock at number 24. Sean Payton's looking to get a pass rusher. And I think the 5th LSU Tiger goes off the board here. Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. It's a tough choice between him and Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. But why not take the local boy and keep him in state? So I think Patrick Queen out of LSU goes here at 24 overall to the New Orleans Saints. Next up, number 25, the Minnesota Vikings need to find a receiver after trading Stephon Diggs over to the Buffalo Bills a couple weeks ago. And I think they'll take Jalen Reagor out of TCU. A lot of people don't have a first-round grade on this guy, but I do. I think this kid's going to be a good receiver. Could they take another receiver? Sure. But I think this guy's going to be the best receiver left on the board at this point because with the injury problems to Laviska Shenault and to a lot of these other guys, I think Jalen Reagor will be the guy going at 25 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, the Miami Dolphins with their final first-round pick. They'll take Xavier McKinney out of Alabama, a safety. I think this kid, I'd love to see this kid slide out of the first round so the Bucs can try and trade back in to the first round and grab this guy later on. But I think Xavier McKinney goes here at 26 overall to the Miami Dolphins. Next up, number 27, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. And every year they say take an offensive lineman, but they never listen. This year I think they finally have to listen to the fans. Josh Jones out of Houston will be the pick here, an offensive tackle. to protect Russell Wilson and finally give him an offensive lineman to work with in Seattle at 27. Next up, the number 28 pick overall, the Baltimore Ravens, who had a very good season last year. And Lamar Jackson was just named to the cover of Madden 21 yesterday, so that's great news for him. I think they're going to take Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma, the other linebacker, maybe a Ray Lewis type of guy that you can use on 3-down linebacker in the Baltimore Ravens defense. So I really like him in Harbaugh's defense out there in Baltimore. Next up, the number 29 pick, the most surprising team in the NFL last year, the Tennessee Titans. They're going to take Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State. This kid looks very good. Played for one of the best coaches in the Big Ten last year, James Franklin. A lot of people say this guy can go earlier in the first round. I don't think so. I think he's going to stay right here at 29 overall to the Penn State, to the Tennessee Titans at 29. Oh, next up, the number 30 overall pick, the Green Bay Packers. Desperately want a tight end, but it's way too early to take one. I wouldn't be shocked to see O.J. Howard get traded to the Green Bay Packers tomorrow in the draft. But I think they're going to take T. Higgins out of Clemson. Another one of Dabo Sweeney's boys. Here goes. A lot of people don't have a first-round grade on this guy. They think his height is not big enough to be a first-round pick in the NFL, but I think he's good. I think he has the talent to be a first-round pick in the NFL overall in the Green Bay Packers offense. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock with their second first-round pick. This pick is getting traded. Absolutely. This pick's getting traded because the San Francisco 49ers do not have a second, third, or fourth round pick right now on day 2 and 3. So they are definitely trading pick number 31 to whoever has the best deal for them at 31. But I think somebody's going to trade back up and take Ross Blacklock out of TCU, the defensive tackle. They need help in the secondary in San Francisco, but they could probably fill that out in the second round because there's some good corners and safeties in the second round of this draft. So I'm going to take Ross Blacklock at 31 overall to the to whoever trades up and gets the Niners' 31st overall pick. And finally, in the NFL draft, the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, need help in the secondary, and I feel like they'll get it. Grant Delpit out of LSU. A lot of people say this guy's going to go earlier, but I don't see it happening. I think a lot of other safeties could go before him, but I'm going to trust the Sports Fury, and I'm going to trust all these other guys that have been telling me to go with this guy. So I'm going to trust it, and I'm going to take Grant Delpit out of LSU to go with the final pick in the first round. And that will do it for this episode of Scott's Weekly Sports Day, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows when I'm going to be back. Whenever sports are back and running, I'll be back. Stay safe, and I will see you guys right back here when I post again right here on Scott's Weekly Sports. See you later, guys.